Right then, welcome back, and right, this is quite possibly the most ridiculous way to win an endurance race ever. So race 3 of the final endurance league, Brands Hatch GP circuit in the rain, and we're going to use that. Why? Well, it's level 4, everything else is level 5, so it's an opportunity to max out the final endurance bike. It's in the rain as well. I think the R1s have a bit of a wheelie problem. So I threw a setup in. Don't worry, we're going to come back to the setup in a minute. And we're on the rain tyres. It's pissing down. It starts at what? I think it might be 5 o'clock, something like that. But I needed it to turn in without wheeling everywhere, so that's why I dropped the preload on the front right down. I went really low on the steering adjustment, the rake and trail. We're on aggressive settings. The gear ratios are dropped right down towards 0. We start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so we're going to race into the night. Now, the problem with the wet races is obviously that at some point you want it to dry out, and normally the game's programmed to dry out as you want to be pitting, so they try and force you to do 2 pit stops, etc, etc. Not on this occasion. So off the start, and we gust as high as 6. The bike was a bit of a pig. It was understeering everywhere. The setup that I put in it, I would go 1 click higher on the rear preload. I mean, it's sliding about all over the place as well. I had the engine braking on 2, I would put the engine braking on 1. There's just all sorts of little things I've changed. I haven't used this bike in quite a while, so it was a bit of a shot in the dark, this setup. And first lap, I didn't really want to go mad and like try and force my way up to the front. I just thought I'll take it nice and easy. I'm not going to be running in power mode or anything until the last part of the race, and I want the fuel and the tyres to potentially last me as long as possible in case it stops raining and the track dries out. What I didn't bargain or consider was the lead rider, the Canadian, just pissed off. And when I mean absolutely 100%, I mean, it didn't help us having moments like that, but it just pissed off into the distance. By the time the pit stops came round, he was 10, maybe 12 seconds in front. It was absolutely ridiculous. So the weather was atrocious. I had the anti-wheelie on 1 instead of 2, so we just rectified that quickly then. We just put the engine brake in. I mean, I've put it up to... I've left it on 2. Traction control I'll knock up to 1. And I'll leave the map on standard for now. We don't go to the power map until later on. I flick it onto power, but then I think, no, there's no point. And I just ended up knocking it back down to standard and we leave it. And it's a good job I did, because if I had run in power mode, I would never have won the race, but we'll get to that later on. So yeah, so we've done a lap. I'm struggling. I'm nearly 5 seconds, just over 5 seconds behind the leader already, and it's that gap to leader on the endurance races. So it took us, what, 2.5 laps, halfway around lap 3, before I even got a sniff of getting past someone up into 8th place, and they just put the brakes on and came back underneath me because I was a little warm into the corner. And it was becoming quite obvious quite quickly that I had a pace advantage in certain parts of the track and they were much quicker in other parts of the track. The problem was they were quicker where they were quicker than I was quicker when I was quicker, if that makes sense. But anyway, a third of the way around lap 4, we finally managed to go from, 8th up to 6th. It took till lap 8 before we got anywhere near any other riders. Fuel wise, the leaders absolutely drinking gas. We've got 10% more fuel left than them. Lap 9, little incidents. It was just, I was having to push without trying to override the bike, and I was putting myself in stupid situations like that where I'm just nibbling the back of the bike in front, and I'm lucky that both of us didn't go down, but it is what it is. So I mean, lap 11, the sunset's beautiful. It's just about going to stop raining, and the track starts to dry out. But we're 10 and a half seconds behind the leader. I mean, we're up to 3rd because there was a couple of crashes and so on and so forth. I tried to go past the South African rider, and again it's one of them where they just turn across you and you're not quite sure, do I not? And then what I did was something like not stupid as that. He crashed on the way into the pits, so that left us in second, and then the leader was 12 seconds up the road, 12.5 seconds up the road. So if you keep an eye on the top right of the screen, the Canadian rider's just gone in the pit. So we were 10.5 seconds, 12.6 seconds behind. I've got just under 30% fuel, 25% of the rear tyre now. It's a long while since I've raced wets and run the rear tyre right down to pretty much zero. And I forgot how much pace the bike actually loses whilst you're doing that. It doesn't enjoy going to nearly nothing. So we got down to 15%, the fuel light comes on, get into the pits. I'm only 25 seconds up the road, so he was 12 seconds up, so he's only lost 13 seconds in the pit stop. Now I knew that I was going to come out and not be in the lead, but it was just a question of how much fuel I put in. Now I went for 80%, not for any other reason than it was just a guess. I hadn't sat and worked it out, and my brain was all over the place concentrating on not falling off the bike. So I put 80% in. The game released as almost a massive accident coming out of the pit lane with a rider coming down through Paddock Hill Bend. It was like, right, so it stopped raining and then it started raining again and it's now dark. So the track's wet, pretty much guaranteed for the rest of the race. There's not enough time left in the race to junk the wet tyres and put some slicks on and make any meaningful difference. You're going to lose 40 seconds in the pit. So it was a case of having to start again with a 10.5, 10 point whatever second gap. So we've made 2.5, maybe 3 seconds over going into the pits and not putting 100% fuel in, which they do. The AI do it every time, regardless of whether there's one lap left or not. And it seemed to take just forever and ever and ever. So I thought, well, I'm going to go to power mode and flick it up, and it took another 3 laps to catch up with the Portuguese rider. And what I should have done is I should have waited and I should have been patient, because I ran a bit wide into the last turn there, but I didn't. I thought, no, I'm going to go up the inside of him, and the bike just gets airborne off the little dip. It snaps sideways a couple of times. I thought I'd saved it. I'm in the gravel, I'm off, and I thought, that's it, the race is done. The race is absolutely finished. I was starting to catch the leader. We ended up back down in 4th. Exactly the same overtake on the next lap, and I don't know why the AI didn't run to the back of me like they normally did. And in all honesty, I was just going through the motions. I was not trying to do anything other than just get to the end of the race to try and see what the conditions did so that I could do it again and we could go on. Now I knew the leader would go in. He's got 11% fuel left and he pits. Now in my mind I've gone, oh mega, well I've won this then, because the Portuguese rider in second has got less than that amount of fuel left, so he's guaranteed to go in the pits. Absolutely no problem. Doesn't go in. So I've caught him. I don't think I've got enough pace to get past him. I've got 16% fuel left, I'm in power mode, I've got loads of tyres, it's not an issue. So what do? I was, my hands, I was literally sweating and shaking. I was like, well, I don't know what to do. Do I push it and try and get past him? Do I not? Is he going to knock his power mode down? But because I don't know whether the AI run different power maps or not. They must do at some point, but I've got no way of knowing. He's got 5% fuel left. I thought, he's got to run out. He's got to run out of fuel. He has to run out of fuel. Well, we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? So, out of 30s down the back straight. The R1, the cross-plane crank, the first generation cross-plane crank bike, likes to wheelie too much. So I thought, well, I'm not going to get him there. I'm a little bit quicker through Hawthorne, run it in third, use the traction control, but I struggle with a braking point here. Is it Westfield? Yeah, into Westfield, struggle down the hill, really struggle with this next corner. Through the dip, through Dingle Dell, up into this corner, I really struggle with that. Sheens. I thought, well, I'm done, I can't get past him. I've got no penalties, but I can't get him between Stirling's and the end corner, and he's just going to go down the straight and finish, and that's it, it's done. And I'm in second place, and it's 40 minutes of my life I'll never get back. And then he goes to 0%, and then he runs out of fuel, and then we nearly hit him and we don't, and we've won. And I I can't believe it. How the actual flock of sheep have I pulled that out of the bag? How? I don't get it. I was done. I was finished. I was like, I'm doing it again. It'll just be attempt number 1. Oh, boo-hoo, you had to do it twice. And he ran out of fuel, what, 100 metres from the end? Oh my God. Never. In all the endurance races that we've done on this game, I've never finished like that. And it cheered me right up. Ah, well, Happy New Year and all that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for liking. And fingers crossed I will see you next time. Take care. Stay safe. Peace.